Here we're going to look at difference equations, which is a commonly assessed topic, particularly, well, on both exams really, and it's an area that students have difficulties with year after year. So if you can do well with difference equations, you can certainly get an advantage on the other people doing the further exam. A difference equation is a way of writing the numbers in a sequence and what happens to each number as we move from one term to the next. So if I had a simple sequence like this, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, we can see that each number is going up by 2. So what we would say is that each term is 2 more than the term before it. And a way of writing that as a difference equation would be any term, Tn, any term in the sequence, would be equal to the term before it, which is Tn minus 1 plus 2. Each term is equal to the term before it plus 2, starting at a value of 2. Another way of writing this one would be the next term is equal to the current term plus 2. So for example, if we consider we're at 8, the next term is found by adding 2 to the current term. So either of these ways of writing it is acceptable, and we always have to specify a starting point when it comes to a difference equation. So that's a very simple version. Let's look at something that we might see in the exam. So we'll go back to the 2006 VCAR paper and we'll look at this question. Okay, so it's about the water used in an orchid being stored in a tank. Each afternoon 10% of the volume of the water is used, so it reduces by 10%, and each evening 2,000 litres of water is added to the tank. So let's consider this information. So if we draw a little diagram to represent this, we have the water in the tank, and two things happen each day. We lose 10%, and then we add, was it 20,000 or 2,000? 2,000 litres of water. Okay, and we're starting with 45,000 litres. V1 is 45,000 litres. Now that is the volume. Vn is representing the volume of water in the tank on the morning of the nth day. So V1 means on the morning of the first day. It's important to note that. V1 is volume in the morning on first day. Okay, now the first question is to write a difference equation that represents this situation. And we want to work out what's the value of R and what's the value of D. So R is representing, so we have the amount of water in the tank is equal to something times the previous day's volume plus something else. Now the something times the previous day's volume will be related to a percentage increase or decrease in whatever we're talking about. In this case, water in a tank. And the percentage increase or decrease comes here. Each afternoon we are using 10% of the volume. We are reducing by 10%. If we're reducing by 10%, that means we are keeping 90% of what was there, and therefore R will be 0.9 because we are keeping the 90%. So R will be 0.9. So the amount of water in the tank is 0.9 times the previous days. That's the loss of 10%. But then in the evening, we top the tank up with 2,000 litres. So we add, so the plus D will be the plus 2,000. So D will be 2,000 litres. So you would write that in these boxes here. Okay, now from here on in, we need to know how to use our calculator really to do these difference equations. Because the thing with the difference equation is, because each term depends on the term directly before it, we can't just jump to the 10th term or the 20th or the 40th. We need to use our calculator, the list and spreadsheets function on the calculator, to work out what the terms in the sequence are. So we're going to look at how we put this into the calculator. We need to go to a list and spreadsheets screen, and we need to press menu, data, generate sequence. Okay, So let's think about the sequence we actually want to put in. We want to put in this. Well, the sequence is Vn plus 1 equals 0.9 times Vn plus 2000. Now the calculator doesn't work with V's, it only works with U's. So the calculator starts always with Un equals something. So we're going to keep the 0.9 and the 2000 as they are. Un is representing a term, and the term before Un is Un minus 1. So we're going to type in 0.9 times U bracket n minus 1 plus 2000. And we always need an initial term, which is 45,000. We can leave the rest as it is, and we hit OK. And here is what's happening to the water in the tank. So over time, the water is actually decreasing. Even though we're topping it up by 2,000, the 10% that we're losing each day is more than the 2,000 extra we're putting in each night. So over time, the amount of water is decreasing. Once you can do this on the calculator, you can generally get 2 or 3 marks quite easily by just being able to put it in the calculator properly. And we will see that when we return to the question. Determine how many litres of water will be in the tank on the morning of the 4th day. Okay, on the morning of the 4th day means V4, the 4th term. So we just go to our 4th term. There it is, 38225. It's as simple as that. Read it straight off the calculator. The next question. On the morning of which day will the volume of the water first be below 30,000 litres? Okay, let's scroll down. Okay, so this is the morning of the 9th day, and it is not below 30,000. This is the morning of the 10th day, and this is the morning of the 10th day. It is now below 30,000 for the first time. So we would write here on the morning of the 10th day, and be very clear with your answer. You want to make sure you get the mark. In the long term, how many litres of water will be in the tank each morning? So what I would do is I would just scroll down, and eventually these values will get very close to a certain figure, and we can see that they have got extremely close to 20,000. And if we look in this bar down here, we can see that it's getting down to 20,000. So the answer is 20,000 litres. So simply by being able to correctly type a difference equation, we had to set it up first, but by being able to just simply type that in, we were able to get 3 very easy marks just by reading things straight off our calculator.